What is assessment?
Assessment is a measurement system of intellectual achievement or ability. Assessment documents data on the knowledge, skill, attitudes, and beliefs. It requires students to demonstrate their deep understanding, higher order thinking, and complex problem solving through the performance of exemplary tasks.
One thing to keep in mind is that assessment can often be used interchangeably with test, but is not limited to test.
So how can one be assessed?
There are several types of assessment. For example, for the sake of convenience, a teacher may not just use a physical paper to assess a student.
A teacher could assess a student by their prior achievement or personal characteristics. This is considered placement evaluation and establishes a baseline from which individual student growth can be measured.
One popular form of assessing a student is through objective and subjective assessment. Many teachers choose to create tests with objective and subjective questions to make sure the student knows their material.
Objective questions has only one correct answer. Objective questions can be different types of true or false questions, multiple choice, and matching. On the other hand, subjective assessment gives the student more freedom in the response and aren't just limited to one specific answer. Subjective assessment include extended response questions and essays and more.
After some students have been previously assessed through different forms, a teacher may choose to perform referencing. Referencing is using the results of the student's present performance compared to their previous performance or to the performance of other students.
Many teachers choose to assess their students by giving them a test, quiz, or paper to examine their knowledge on the criteria. This is known as formal assessment. Formal assessment is given a numerical score or grade based on the student's performance.
The opposite of formal assessment is informal assessment. Informal assessment is more casual and can be done by observation, inventories, checklists, rating scales, rubrics, participation, discussion, etc. This puts less pressure on the students because this is a daily routine for a teacher to examine their students.
It is important that assessments have a high level of reliability and validity.
Reliability relates to the consistency of an assessment. A reliable assessment is one that consistently achieves the same results within the same or similar cohort of students.
Various factors may affect reliability, such as unclear questions, too many options within a paper, vague instructions, and poorly trained markers.
Valid assessment is one that measures what it is intended to measure. For example, it would not be valid to assess driving skills through a written test alone. A more valid way of assessing driving skills would be through a combination of tests that help determine what a driver knows, such as through a written test of driving knowledge and what a driver is able to do, such as through a performance assessment of actual driving.
How do you think assessment benefits schools?
A school may give teachers an education standard on what they have to teach their students. The results of an assessment will give the school a better idea of the effectiveness of the teacher's instruction, students' knowledge, and where they stand compared to other schools within the state.
By receiving positive and negative assessment scores or ratings, the school will have a better idea if they need to make any changes in their education and their grading levels.
Can assessment benefit teachers?
Yes, once the teacher receives the results of assessment scores or ratings, it shows if their teaching methods are effective and if their students are actually learning. If the assessment scores or ratings are too low, teachers can make a change in their daily routines. However, if they are too high, they may not be challenging their students on their knowledge. The students' assessment scores can also be related as an assessment to a teacher's ability to teach effectively.
It sounds like assessment helps schools and teachers out because they know what to change in the system of educating their students. However, does it help the students out, and can it also have a negative impact on the students?
Students can be impacted by the results from assessment in a positive or negative way. Assessment helps better prepare students for the future workplace. There is a need for assessment tasks used in professional and vocational education to resemble the tasks students will encounter in their future professional practice.
Once the student receives their results, they may start comparing their grades with other classmates or friends. By comparing grades, this can give a student a better idea if they should be putting more effort in their education. However, this can also make a downturn if they receive a bad grade and could cause lower self-esteem and extreme test anxiety.
It is important to find the correct assessment so that it properly measures student growth but does not create too much stress on the student or not challenging the student at all.